Actor Malik Yoba steps up and lets the world know that he is trans attracted. So what does that mean? What are the ramifications of this revelation, particularly within the black community? Let's talk about it. What's going on, y'all? So everybody was blowing my social media up about Malik Yoba coming forward and letting us know that he is trans attracted, has been in relationships with trans women for a very long time, so on and so forth. The internet and the black community are up in arms. I grappled with the idea of doing this video. To be honest with you, I did not want to touch it. And I didn't want to touch it because it violates a personal standard I set for myself, which is I don't discuss LGBTQI issues with heterosexual people. I just don't. Over the years, I've just become fed up, tired, exhausted from having to defend my existence amongst a group of people who just refuse to see me as human and refuse to hold on to barbaric doctrines, beliefs, thoughts, and opinions rooted in nothingness. And hate. I just do. And I'm not saying that every straight person is like that, but it just gets cumbersome having to always defend your existence. And when we talk about privilege sometimes, that is a privilege that heterosexual people get in this society. You don't have to defend being straight. You get to show up in spaces around the world and be you, versus I have to defend my right to breathe as a gay man in this country, and it gets cumbersome sometimes. So, I made a rule many years ago that I just don't discuss it, and quite frankly, I don't occupy spaces where I'm not accepted. That's why I don't go to a lot of people's churches, so on and so forth, and hence I use the word accepted, because there's a difference between tolerated and accepted. Yes, I can go to your church with you, but I can't put my hand on my lover's knee the same way you can put your hand on your lover's knee. So at your church, I'm tolerated, not accepted, and that's the difference. At any rate, I watched the Breakfast Club interview finally this morning, and I came to the conclusion that the conversation was too important for me to stand on the sidelines and not say anything. But I wanted to make sure that when I did speak on this, that I was adding and furthering the conversation and not adding to the noise and the sensationalism of it. So I took a couple notes, and I want to start with this. Even before Malik Yoba came forward with his truth, I found a lot of women I'm going to start with the women. A lot of women across social media, particularly within my social media, had problems with the word cisgender, cis woman versus trans woman. And I found that a lot of women, period, have a problem accepting trans women as women. And I'm here to ask the question, why? If I am a trans woman and I tell the world I'm a woman and I want you to treat me as such, my question for many women is, why does that rattle you so much? By me asking to be acknowledged as a woman, does it take something away from you? And I'm asking because I don't know. I believe it doesn't. And Angelica Ross just recently did something on OWN where she was speaking to cisgendered women, and we'll get to the cisgender part in a second, where she was saying, listen, we are not your enemy. We are your sisters. And I'm just curious to know, for so many women out there who take exception with trans women wanting to be recognized as a woman, Why does that bother you so much? You know, and oftentimes you get the people in the comments that say things like, oh, you know, they don't know what it's like to have a period, and they don't know what it's like to have babies, and they don't know this, that, and the third. And you have to be careful using ovaries and pushing out babies as the litmus test for being a woman, because there are a lot of women out there who can't have babies and who don't have ovaries. So you have to be very careful, women, in offending what you guys deem as natural women, using pregnancy as the litmus test. Because following that logic, there's Susie Q over there who can't conceive, or, you know, has some sort of internal situation going on. By that logic, she isn't a woman. So again, I stressed earlier that I did see a lot of women take exception with the word cisgender woman. A lot of people are like, you know, what is this? I'm a woman. What's this new term? When did we agree on this? Why the gay community trying to make everybody be something and go along with something? I don't want to be called cisgender. I'm a woman. And it's funny because sometimes so many of us respond out of emotion, arrogance, and ignorance that we don't even realize what the hell it is we're responding to. And cisgender simply means relating to a person whose sense of personal identity and gender correspond with their birth sex. So let's break this down, and this is where a lot of people get stuck, and this is kind of the area where I don't like to necessarily go in, because I don't believe that I am the most well-versed, and sometimes I get choked up on my words, because putting the words to this conversation is relatively new for me too. But as best I can, let me break this down. Your genitalia, your gender, and your sexual orientation are three things that exist mutually exclusive of one another, contrary to what you've been taught and what we believe. What we do in this society is say, you're a boy because you have a penis, which means you must like blue, play with football, and wear short hair, your gender identity, and you must like have sex with girls, your sexual orientation. And we link them all, boop, vagina spits out the baby, penis, all three of those most line up that way, and that's not the case. You can have a penis, you can like the color pink and want to wear makeup, and be attracted to girls or boys. The configuration can go multiple ways. So for the slow section, and I think this is where a lot of people take exception and a lot of people get riled up. We live in a world that says if you're a girl, you must like to cook, clean, be nurturing, wear your hair long, wear makeup, wear dresses and skirts. Y'all do know dresses and skirts don't exist in nature, right? Makeup doesn't exist in nature. Mother Nature did not spit out female babies and say she must wear makeup and that boys can't. It is a social construct, okay? The whole notion of gender is a social construct. Boys can want to do hair. Boys can want to play with dolls. Girls can want to play football. Girls can want to be auto mechanics. Girls can want to be weightlifters. Those are all gender roles. So, with that being said, how someone shows up in the world, gender-wise, doesn't necessarily have to correspond with the gender that the doctor gave them at birth. And it was first confusing for me, but gender to us is assigned. I come out with a penis and I am told you're a boy and you must do all the things that go along with being a boy. But is it possible that I can be born with a penis and want to do the things that are associated with being a girl? And yes, I can be a boy and want to wear dresses and want to do makeup and want to, and I'm sorry, let me back up, not be a boy. I can have a penis and like to, and have the gender identity of what we perceive to be a girl. And I know it gets confusing and I don't want to get too caught up in the mechanics of it all, but I just wanted to let you guys know that gender, sexual orientation, and genitalia, what did I say? Can exist mutually exclusive of one another. Some people, let me move to my next point, 'cause I don't want this to get lengthy. Some people are so stuck in the binary, despite the fact that there is historic evidence that there are more than two genders, meaning boy, girl. All the hoteps try to preach this whole African talk of this isn't African and gays came about because the white people was fucking the slaves in the ass and homosexuality comes from white people and just all this other ignorant nonsense, when you can just simply Google it. And there is a spectrum of genders across Africans, Indians, people of Latin descent, Mexicans. There are cultures right now that practice more than one gender and actually celebrate. There are Indian cultures, some Indian cultures who actually celebrate the multi-spirited individual. They are actually risen up within their culture because they are thought to be something more because they have, multiple spirits, as they call it. So listen, y'all, everything is not as black and white as boy, girl, as we've been taught. And it's funny because now that I'm an openly gay man, I really do wish that some of this information was more readily available to me when I was younger. Perhaps it would have saved me a whole lot of heartache and pain had I understood and had more people understood. One thing that I did like about that Breakfast Club interview is DJ Envy said, as a result of this conversation, I now have some of the language to be able to go back and talk to my children and some other people about it. Now, listen, here's the thing, right? Because there are some people watching this video right now who are going to sit through this whole conversation just to disagree with me. And if you're one of those people and your religion tell you this and your God tell you this and your grandma told you this, just go ahead and click the video off now. Like, this isn't for you. We don't need your hate in the comments about how folks going to hell and how we confused and how it's a psychological issue. No, the only psychological issue is that you are so closed-minded, you're not even open to the idea of listening to the possibility. I'm not trying to sway you one way or another. I'm not trying to make you believe something that you don't believe, but I do believe that there is a problem with anyone who can't sit quietly and just listen. Again, you can't tell me nothing about being gay if you've never been gay. You can't tell a trans person nothing about being trans if you have never been trans yourself. What do you really know? And let me go ahead and save you some heartache and some letters. The Bible don't mention nothing about trans people. So back it on up. Something else that I want to talk about that really irks my nerves. There's this notion that there's this gay agenda. And listen, y'all, as smart, articulate, well-traveled, and well-spoken as I am, trust and believe, if there was a table where a bunch of gays were sitting around pushing the gay agenda, I'm pretty sure I would have had an invitation to that bitch. Okay? There is no conspiracy by the larger gay community to make your children gay, to want y'all to be gay, to want y'all to accept nothing, to force your lifestyle, our lifestyle, I hate that term, force our lifestyle on somebody. Nobody's trying to force anything on you. If anything, what folks are trying to do is be left the fuck alone and be granted the ability to live peaceably the same way heterosexual people do. And again, that goes back to privilege. A husband and a wife can walk through the mall and hold hands and go shopping and nobody bothers them. Two women or two guys do it and it's the end of the damn world. All people really want is just to be left alone. So if people could just learn to mind their business, then there wouldn't even be no choice or no issue with this hidden agenda that is crazy. And this whole, I hear black men say this a lot. Every time I turn on the TV, it's two niggas kissing. That empire shit, it's just too much gay shit. It's too much gay shit. And in the words of Maya Angelou, does my haughtiness offend you? Like, is your masculinity so fragile that Jussie Smollett kissing somebody on TV gonna do what? Like, why does that unnerve you so bad? And this whole notion of children don't need to be seeing this. In all actuality, children have more examples of heterosexual interactions on a daily, consistent, force-fed basis than they ever will of same loving sex couples, transgender people, so on and so forth. So following your flawed ass logic, if seeing two men kissing on TV is going to put ideas in a kid's head to make them gay, then wouldn't seeing a man and a woman as consistently and as constantly as they do, kissing, holding hands, and interacting on TV, wouldn't those override all the images of the few speckles of gay people you see kissing on TV? Like, it does not make sense, but it just sounds good because it's the only straw some people can grapple in their half-baked ass argument as to what goes in to making somebody gay, straight, or everything in between. Let me see. Unlock phone. If it's possible for me to be gay, then it's possible for a person to be trans. Trans is the new, hot button topic. It's the newly to be explored endeavor in sociology and in American culture right now. It's very new to us. Granted, gay people have made a lot of strides. We still ain't totally free, but we've gotten to a point where it is slightly more comfortable for gay people in this current time than it was years before. Trans people have not quite gotten there. But for those people who have been able to wrap their head around gay and lesbian, I am here to say this. If it is possible for me to be gay, this person to be lesbian, then it is surely possible for this person to be trans, to feel as if they were born in the wrong body. And the reality of the situation is, it's not even that the person was born in the wrong body. I think the wrong set of norms were bestowed upon them. That's a whole nother conversation. I have learned, and actually, believe it or not, I learned this in watching the Dave Chappelle special that everybody is so up in arms about, is that, believe it or not, we lump trans people in the same bucket with the gays, and oftentimes when you go to the gay club, you see trans people there. I'm not 100% convinced that that's necessarily where they belong. I think that that's the most comfortable bucket to dump them in, but in all actuality, if you are a trans woman, okay, and you like men, you may not necessarily be attracted to a gay man. You are attracted to a man that likes women. So why are you in a gay club? That's the question my rational mind asks, but the answer is because it's one of few safe spaces for them. So they have to come out and get their thrills and hang out and have fun with the rest of us because it's the only place that they can. But gay clubs are for gay men. Lesbian clubs are for lesbian men. In all actuality, trans women should be in a straight club, but that's dangerous for obvious reasons, or in a trans club for men who like trans women. And the issue with that is that you've got men who like trans women who are not gay, so they don't need to be in the gay club because the gay men will be hitting on them, and that will possibly make them uncomfortable. And I know that this is a lot for a lot of you, because you like, if they trans and they gay and they got a dick and that's it. But it really is not it. Last but not least, and I know this video, I guess, was supposed to be about Malik Yoba, but the conversation is larger than Malik Yoba. What I like about Malik Yoba leading the charge on this is that everybody expects, we've got this one-dimensional view of the LGBTQ IASQRZ community. Either she's a butch lesbian that drives trucks, or she's the Funky Dineva character, or the Derek Jays and the Lawrences of the world. And now we've got this ultra uber masculine black man who was a sex symbol of the 90s and an iconic black male figure with the New York undercover situation. He is a manly man by all intents and purposes, and it's making a lot of people have to reevaluate a lot of things psychologically, because this defies what we know. Wait a minute, he's not Queenie and sashaying and saying girlfriend and getting his fingernails painted, and he likes trans women. What is going on here? He's my uncle, he's my brother, he like my daddy, he's a Muslim. Yeah, he's like most men that you know. And it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. I'm here to say this, just being around, being in the life, being in the business, a lot of people that you know are trans attractive. He isn't the only one. You sitting up with a lot of them, you working next to him, it's your brother, it's your uncle, and it is okay. It does not have to be something that is, sensationalized or swept under the rug or hidden or be some sort of scandal. It is okay. I did a post on Instagram earlier in the week, and I came under a lot of scrutiny because I said, with this Malik Yoba situation, black women, y'all need to be accepting to Malik Yoba and embrace him with open arms, because so many times, you hear black women say things like, just be honest. I mean, I don't care what you is, but just, don't be going around lying. Keep it real, keep it real, keep it real. And everybody came at me like, why are you attacking black women? And here you go again. You don't like black women. And let me, even in analyzing why people feel that way, I drew the conclusion that a lot of times when y'all hear me make critiques about things that fall in black women's spaces, it's because those are the spaces that I occupy most frequently. Okay? Growing up, I never fit in with the straight black boys. I don't have cliques of uncles and cousins and straight men. Even to this day, I don't feel comfortable in straight male spaces, barbershops, football games. So a lot of my life experience comes from occupying black female spaces. So it's not so much that I hate black women or why he don't never say anything about the men. I don't say anything about the men. To be quite honest with you, I don't know much about them. I'm not around them. I'm not around them. Most of my life experience, most of the social insulation around me falls in black female spaces. So that is why it is more natural for me to speak from my experience being in those spaces than it is for me to speak on straight black male spaces, because when I look at straight black male spaces, all I do is relive trauma. And even at 36 years old, I don't rush to be in those spaces. I don't desire to be in those places. I don't spend any time in straight male spaces due to childhood and adolescent trauma and lack of acceptance from those guys. Like Lil Nas X said on his interview, man, that shit ain't good in the hood. I've never in my life felt safe amongst straight black men. I've never. So I said that to say, we all have a responsibility, including straight black men, to just love people for who they are. Carmen Carrera said something on that Breakfast Club interview that resonated with me the most. And she said, listen, we are all people floating in this planet, that's floating in this damn galaxy. We are only here for a short amount of time. Why can't we just spend our time loving each other? And I look at how many missed opportunities that a lot of us get to just experience the love and the fullness of people, being so caught up in what people have between their legs, how they like to live, being divided by religion, and being too ignorant to look past what your granny or your mother taught you and getting an understanding for yourself. So listen, y'all, that's all I got. I really ain't got much more. For those of y'all who was expecting this whole, poetic go in and go ham on what Malik Yoba was doing and what he's not doing, sorry to disappoint you. I will say this to the young woman who tried to piggyback off of Malik's stepping forward and wrote this article about him preying on her when she was a young trans runaway child, and basically how he didn't need to be celebrated, but I'm just telling my story and he preyed on me, this, that, and the third. I really question your motives. The question that I would have for you is why? And you have to always ask yourself with any and everything you do, does the fallout from this, or basically, is what I'm going to gain from this worth the fallout? And with you being a member of the trans community and how monumental that this man's coming forward was in this particular moment, was the 2 days of media play that you got worth the potential damage that you did to the community as a whole? And lastly, just on some straight up hood type shit, on the real, you might have been underage at the time. I don't know, and I'm not condoning anybody having sex with underage people, but I will say this. You know what it was like in the 90s for people like you and I. And bitch, if he gave you them $10 to suck his dick, or he gave you $20 to fuck you in the ass, bitch, you ought to be thankful, because that $10 or that $20 was the difference between your ass eating and starving when your mama and your daddy put your ass out on the street. Everybody knows if it was not for that underground black market situation, a lot of y'all motherfuckers wouldn't have been able to eat and keep a roof over your goddamn head. And that's just true tea. I'm sure your 14, 15, 16-year-old ass was thankful for them niggas giving you $15 to suck dick at that time, because your ass was able to go get a crystal burger and a crystal snack and to keep your stomach from rumbling so your ass could fall asleep, or maybe to get you a damn hotel room to keep you from having to stay out in the cold. So I don't get how, on one token, the very market that helped keep your ass alive and help you survive is now the very market that you want to shame and condemn. Listen, we all got past, and we've all done things that we are not particularly proud of, and things have been done to us that we are not particularly proud of. But in retrospect, if it was not for that, and for your survival instinct and your ability to work that beat, you wouldn't have been able to eat. Okay? And unfortunately, because this world is so intolerant and there is no place for a lot of people to go, working the beat has kept a lot of girls alive, and is still keeping a lot of girls alive today. Listen, they say work ain't honest, but it pays the bills. I am not supporting by any means necessary the exploitation of underage children. That is not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is reconcile the chips that you've been dealt in life, and understanding that sometimes shit is unfair. We've all had to do something strange for a small piece of change. And with that being said, I'm finna log on out of here. I'll call y'all later. Bye.